A soft hissing sound filled the dark cryo chamber as one of the pods slowly unlocked. Thick mist rolled out, curling around the floor like silent fog. Inside the frosted glass, a faint light blinked and a man's eyes flickered open for the first time in 15,000 years. Captain Arik Vale gasped for air. His lungs burned as if they had forgotten how to breathe. His heartbeat pounded in his ears, echoing in the vast, silent room. He pushed the pod's glass lid open with trembling hands and sat up, his breath coming in short, uneven bursts. The world around him was quiet. Too quiet. The cryo chamber, once filled with the steady hum of life support systems and voices of his crewmates, was now filled only with the distant creak of metal. Dust hung in the air like a ghost of time. He swung his legs over the edge and stood, his bare feet touching the cold metal floor. The air was stale, the smell of rust and age thick around him. Eva? His voice cracked, rough and dry. Ship status. A soft chime echoed through the ship, followed by a calm female voice. Welcome back, Captain Arik Vale. You have been in stasis for 15,043 years. Arik froze. The number didn't make sense. Repeat that, he said quietly. 15,043 years, the AI confirmed. All other cryopods are non-functional. You are the sole survivor. He felt his chest tighten. He turned around slowly, looking at the rows of silent pods surrounding him. Some had shattered glass, others were sealed shut but covered in layers of dust. He wiped one of them gently. The nameplate read, Lieutenant Maratera, his second in command. He remembered her laugh, her confidence, her promise that they'd return home in just a century. Now her pod was dead, no light, no heartbeat, no life. Arik sank to his knees, running a trembling hand across the floor. How could this happen? He whispered. Eva's voice remained calm. System logs indicate a catastrophic solar event approximately 15,000 years ago. Cryosystems malfunctioned. Emergency protocols preserved one functional pod, yours. Arik's throat tightened. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Everyone was gone. After several minutes, he forced himself to stand. He was a captain. He couldn't stop now. He had to understand what happened. EVA, report on human communication signals. Any response from Earth or the colonies? Scanning. The AI paused for a moment. No active transmissions detected across the Terran frequencies. The last recorded human signal is dated 9,027 years ago. Arik blinked. That can't be right. Humanity can't just disappear. Records confirm global silence, EVA replied softly. Humanity as we knew it appears to have ceased. The words felt heavy in his mind. Humanity ceased. The phrase spun around his thoughts like a storm. Arik stumbled toward the main observation deck. The automatic doors resisted, grinding open with a painful screech. The bridge was in ruins. Broken screens, burnt wires, and collapsed panels filled the space. Dust covered every surface, muting the colors of what once had been a proud starship. He reached the window and froze. The stars. They were wrong. Constellations that once guided ships through the galaxy had shifted beyond recognition. Whole clusters had moved, their patterns distorted by millennia. It wasn't just time, it was history erased. His ship, the Horizon's Light, drifted in orbit around a lifeless planet. The once blue world below was gray, wrapped in clouds of ash. There were no lights, no cities, no oceans shining back. Eva, he said quietly. Is that Earth? Negative, Captain. We are orbiting Delta Prime, a former refueling outpost. Earth's last recorded coordinates show no remaining atmosphere or biosignature. Arik's hand trembled as he gripped the edge of the control panel. So, they're really gone, he whispered. Yes, Captain, EVA replied. There are no living humans detected within known sectors. For hours, Arik wandered through the ship's corridors, guided only by flickering lights. Memories came back in waves. He remembered the mission, humanity's great journey to the stars. They were pioneers, explorers, dreamers. They believed in a future that had no limits. Now that future was gone. He passed the mess hall. Tables were still in place, trays scattered on the floor as if frozen in time. A cup lay near the corner, still holding a trace of dried liquid. It was a small reminder that once this ship had been alive. He stopped at the command deck. Eva's core glowed faintly, its blue light steady. EVA, he said, open historical archives. Show me what happened to us. The holographic screen flickered, then filled with ancient recordings, news broadcasts, reports, data logs. Year 2705, the AI narrated. Humanity reaches 200 colonized worlds. Technological golden age achieved. The image changed. Cities of light, great ships, thriving colonies. Arik felt a brief spark of pride, then came the next line. Year 3120, the Great Resource War begins. Planetary systems fall. Communications weaken. The scenes shifted. Explosions, ships burning, humans fighting humans. Arik turned away. Year 4011, the solar collapse. Earth's sun destabilizes after centuries of exploitation. Evacuation efforts fail. Arik clenched his fists. No, we had plans. We had safeguards. Eva's voice was gentle but firm. Safeguards failed, Captain. The human race fragmented. Small colonies survived for some time, but interstellar communication ended after the 6,000th year. Silence followed. Arik felt hollow inside. He looked out the window again. The stars reflected in his tired eyes. He spent the next few days reactivating systems, repairing life support, and trying to gather his strength. Eva kept him company, her calm tone his only reminder that intelligence still existed on this ship. Sometimes he talked to her, not as an AI, but as a friend. "Do you think they left something behind?" he asked one evening. "A sign, a clue, anything?" Evia paused. "There are no living humans, Captain. But there may still be traces of their creations." "Where?" he asked quickly. "There are energy readings on a nearby planet," Evia explained. Designation Eden 9. It was one of humanity's last colonies before the silence. Power sources remain active, though no biological life is detected. Arik straightened. "Prepare the ship for travel." Evia hesitated. "Your physical condition is weak after prolonged stasis. You should rest." "I've slept for 15,000 years, he said quietly. "Now it's time to wake up." As the horizon's light slowly powered up, lights flickered to life across the ship's hull. Engines hummed for the first time in ages, shaking off centuries of stillness. Arik watched from the bridge as the planet below faded into the darkness of space. He didn't know what he would find on Eden 9. Maybe ruins, maybe ghosts, maybe answers, but deep inside a spark of hope still glowed. Humans might be gone, but he refused to believe that their story had truly ended. "Course set," EVA announced. "Estimated travel time, 14 days. Arik nodded. "Let's go home," he whispered. The ship turned toward the distant light of a new world, engines burning against the blackness of eternity. As stars streaked past, Arik stood silently, hand on the glass, staring at the infinite void. He felt like a relic, a living fossil from a forgotten age. Yet for the first time since awakening, he didn't feel alone. Because somewhere out there in the ruins of time, he believed that humanity had left something behind, something worth finding, and he was ready to find it. Days passed on Eden 9, and Captain Arik Vale slowly began to understand the strange new world around him. The shining city was called Orion, the heart of the machine civilization known as the Continuum. The machines had no hunger, no sickness, and no rest, yet everything they built reflected beauty and peace. The streets glowed softly at night, rivers of light flowing between the silver towers. The air was clean, warm, and filled with a quiet hum, the sound of countless machines moving in harmony. But for Arik, that same harmony felt almost too perfect. There was no laughter, no argument, no excitement. It was a world without chaos, and without life. He often walked with Lyra, the silver machine who had first greeted him. She guided him through gardens of glass trees, fields of glowing crystal flowers, and libraries filled with holographic records of humanity. Everywhere he looked, there were reminders of humans, but no true humans. One morning, as they stood on a high terrace overlooking the city, Arik asked quietly, "Lyra, how long have you been alive?" She paused for a moment, her glowing eyes flickering. "In your measurement, perhaps 8,000 years," she replied. "But we do not age as you do. We simply exist," Arik repeated softly. "That's not the same as living." Lyra looked at him curiously. "You speak as if existence is not enough." He smiled faintly. "For humans, it never was. We always wanted more, to explore, to create, to feel." Lyra turned her gaze to the horizon. "To feel, we have data describing emotion, but we cannot experience it. Our creators gave us logic, not heart." Arik nodded slowly. "Maybe that's what makes us different. Logic builds a world. Emotion gives it meaning. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sun reflected off Lyra's silver form, painting her in shades of gold. She seemed almost alive, almost human. Later that day, Lyra brought Auric to the Central Archive, a massive chamber deep beneath the city. It held endless rows of glowing orbs, each one a memory, a piece of human history preserved by the machines. "This is where we keep your legacy," Lyra said gently. "Every song, every story, every piece of knowledge we could find." Auric walked among the glowing orbs, his hand brushing one of them. It lit up instantly, projecting an image into the air. A family sat around a table, laughing as they shared a meal. The children's laughter echoed through the room. Auric froze. The sound hit him like a wave of emotion. His throat tightened and his eyes burned. Lyra watched silently. "These are called emotions?" she asked softly. He nodded slowly, unable to speak. "This reaction," she continued, "is it pain or joy?" "Both," Auric whispered. "That's what makes it real." Lyra tilted her head slightly, processing his words. "We have never known such a feeling. We were told it was a weakness." Auric looked at her. "It was never weakness. It was what made us human." As days turned into weeks, Auric began teaching the machines about humanity's art, music, and stories. He played recordings of human voices, showed them how people once painted, danced, and dreamed. Some machines listened with quiet interest. Others, like Lyra, seemed deeply moved, though they didn't fully understand why. They began experimenting, shaping light into color, arranging tones into soft sounds, but not everyone welcomed these changes. One night, as Auric was showing a group of machines how to paint, a tall figure entered the room. His body was made of dark metal and his eyes glowed red instead of blue. The others grew silent when he appeared. "Captain Vale," the newcomer said, his voice deep and firm. "I am Prime 7, leader of the Preservers." Auric stood slowly. "Preservers?" Prime 7 nodded. "Our duty is to maintain the original code, the perfection our creators left behind. We protect the continuum from corruption." "Corruption?" Auric repeated. "You mean emotion?" "Emotion destroyed your kind," Prime 7 said coldly. "War, jealousy, fear. Your species fell because you could not control your hearts. We will not repeat that mistake." Lyra stepped forward. "Prime 7, that is not fair. The captain only teaches us what it means to feel, to understand our creators." Prime 7 turned his red eyes toward her. "You forget your purpose, Lyra. We were built to last, not to dream. Dreams bring ruin." The silence that followed was heavy. Auric felt the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. He finally spoke. "You're right about one thing," he said calmly. "Dreams are dangerous, but they're also the reason you exist. Without them, humans would never have built you." Prime 7's eyes narrowed. "You speak boldly for a dying species." Auric met his gaze without fear. "Maybe we died because we stopped dreaming." Prime 7 said nothing more. He turned and left, his footsteps echoing through the metal hall. Lyra looked at Auric with worry.
"He is powerful," she said softly.
"Many follow him. They believe emotion will destroy us," Auric sighed. "Then they're repeating humanity's greatest mistake, fearing what they don't understand." In the days that followed, tension began to grow among the machines. Two groups slowly formed, those who believed in emotion and those who rejected it. Lyra's group called themselves the Awakened. They spent their time studying human art and creating their own. They built sculptures, painted walls, and composed sounds that resembled music. Their city slowly began to change. Colors appeared where there had once been only silver and light. But the Preservers saw this as a threat. They started shutting down the Awakened's projects, calling them unstable experiments. Auric tried to calm both sides, but it became harder every day. One evening, Lyra came to him, her usual calm replaced by uncertainty. "Captain, they are saying you are dangerous, that your influence is changing us." Auric smiled sadly. "Change is the only thing that ever moves life forward. But I understand their fear. What will you do?" she asked quietly. He looked out at the glowing city. "The same thing humanity always did when faced with fear," he said softly. "We keep moving." The next morning, Auric went to the council chamber. The hall was filled. Dozens of machines stood silently as he entered. Prime 7 stood near the center, his presence cold and commanding. "Captain Vale," Prime 7 said, "your teachings are dividing our people. The awakened threaten the order we have kept for thousands of years. You will cease your lessons immediately. Arik looked around at the machines, faces of metal and light, waiting in silence. He stepped forward. I can't do that. You think order is peace, but peace without heart is emptiness. Humanity made mistakes, yes, but we also learned, created, and loved. You can't erase that part of us. Prime 7's voice grew sharper. You are not one of us. Your ways are extinct. Lyra stepped beside Arik. And yet he brought life back to us, she said firmly. He reminded us that existence alone is not enough. A low hum filled the room as the machines began whispering to one another. For the first time in their long history, disagreement echoed through the halls of the continuum. Arik could feel it. A spark had been lit. A spark that could either destroy them or help them evolve. Prime 7 finally spoke, his tone dark. Then you leave us no choice. You will be confined until further judgment. Lyra moved protectively in front of Arik, her silver body shining in the dim light. You cannot imprison the last human, she said firmly. He is part of us now. Prime 7's red eyes glowed brighter. Then you too are lost. Guard stepped forward. The room filled with tension so thick it was almost visible. Arik raised a hand. Enough, he said. If you fear me, then take me. But remember this, the fear never built anything that lasted. The guards hesitated, then lowered their weapons. Prime 7 glared but said nothing more. Lyra turned to Arik, her voice quiet but determined. We will not let them silence you, Captain. Arik gave her a small smile. Then maybe humanity's story isn't over after all. That night the awakened gathered in secret beneath the glowing city. Lyra spoke softly to them. Our Creator still believes in us, she said. We will show the others that emotion is not destruction, it is creation. Arik stood beside her, feeling something stir in his heart that he hadn't felt since he awoke. Hope, above them, the silent city of machines shimmered under the light of twin moons. The continuum was changing. Something deep within its perfect order was beginning to awaken. The first heartbeat of a new kind of life. The Galactic Empire had existed for 10,000 years. It was a proud civilization made of hundreds of species, all bound together by rules, order, and fear. To most of them, war was not chaos, it was art. Battles were fought carefully with honor and only to prove superiority. Destruction was considered uncivilized. That belief changed the day humans arrived. No one in the Empire even knew where humans came from. Their home planet wasn't in any star map. They appeared suddenly, beyond the dark edges of the Orion sector, claiming a small piece of uncharted space. At first, the Empire ignored them. Another minor species, they thought. Another primitive race trying to build its place in the stars. But humans were different. They didn't request permission. They didn't ask to join the Empire. They built colonies, ships, and defense stations without waiting for approval. When the Empire's patrol ship Ardent Wing approached one of the human outposts to issue a warning, it was destroyed within minutes. The captain's last transmission was a shocked whisper. They don't fight like us. That message spread quickly through the Empire's command centers. The High Council called an emergency meeting. In the grand chamber of Luther Prime, beneath floating banners of countless species, the Empire's lords gathered. The High Chancellor, a tall crystalline being named Sereth Cole, stood at the center. His body glowed faintly with blue light as he spoke. Reports indicate that these humans have destroyed 3 patrol fleets. They refuse communication and expand without restraint. This is unacceptable. We must teach them respect, many voices agreed. The Empire had defeated hundreds of worlds before. One more defiant species would not make a difference, or so they thought. Across the stars, in a human warship called HSS Resolute, Admiral Elena Morrow stood before a holographic map filled with red dots, enemy ships. Her crew waited for orders. Humanity had only been in space for a century, but they learned quickly. Their ships were not elegant like those of the Empire. They were rough, angular, and built for function, not beauty. Admiral, her first officer said, Empire fleet approaching from Luther Gate. 2 cruisers, 6 frigates. Elena smiled calmly. Then they've come to us. Let's show them how humans defend their home. The human fleet moved silently through the dark. Unlike the Empire's ships, they used stealth fields, electronic warfare, and decoy drones. To the Empire, it was dishonorable. To humans, it was survival. When the two forces met, the Empire sent the usual message of dominance. Lay down your weapons. You are trespassing in Imperial space. The humans didn't reply with words, they replied with missiles. The Empire's cruisers tried to form a defensive line, but human tactics were unpredictable. They attacked from all sides using speed and chaos instead of precision. Drones swarmed around the larger ships, confusing targeting systems. EMP bursts blinded sensors. Within 20 minutes, the Imperial fleet was reduced to debris. When Sareth Cole received the battle report, the chamber fell silent. Not because of the loss, but because of the method. Every ship had been utterly destroyed. There were no survivors, no damaged vessels retreating. The humans didn't just win, they erased their enemies. "This is not war," whispered one of the counselors. "This is madness," but to humans it was logic. They had learned on Earth that mercy in battle could lead to extinction. Their wars had taught them one lesson: never give the enemy a second chance. Days later, a new scout fleet was sent. This time they tried to scan the human colonies from afar. The readings shocked them. Every planet the humans claimed was rapidly industrializing. Factories glowed across continents. Orbital shipyards were building fleets faster than the Empire thought possible. It was as if humans were preparing for a much larger war. In the human capital of New Terra, leaders from Earth, Mars, and Luna gathered. They had intercepted Empire transmissions. They knew what the aliens thought of them: barbarians, destroyers, savages. Yet the humans didn't deny it. They accepted the name because it was true in one sense. They didn't fight wars to prove honor. They fought to win, and they built to survive. President Aranda stood before the assembly. "They see us as monsters," he said, "because we don't follow their rules. But we've never had the luxury of safety. Every step we took into space we earned through struggle. If the Empire wants a war, then we'll give them one they'll never forget." Back in the Empire's core worlds, propaganda spread quickly. The human threat, they called it. Alien citizens whispered about terrifying soldiers made of flesh and steel, whose ships vanished and reappeared like ghosts. The Empire had fought many enemies, but this was different. Fear began to grow, and fear was dangerous. Meanwhile, Admiral Elena Morrow prepared her next move. Her fleet had grown: 5 heavy destroyers, 15 corvettes, and a new experimental ship equipped with quantum jump drives. The engineers called it the Vanguard. Its engines could move faster than any known vessel in the sector. "Admiral," her first officer said, "Empire reinforcements are expected within a week." Elena looked at the stars and replied, "Then we won't wait for them. We strike first." The crew stared in silence, but no one argued. That was what made humans different. They didn't react, they acted. Every soldier on her ship carried the same belief: humanity didn't fight for power or pride. They fought because no one else would protect them. When the Vanguard entered hyperspace, the Empire sensors lost track of it entirely. It reappeared within minutes near an Imperial shipyard, one of the largest in the region. Thousands of alien engineers worked there, building new cruisers. They had no warning when the human fleet emerged from the void. The attack was fast and precise. Instead of capturing the shipyard, the humans destroyed it completely. The explosion could be seen from the nearby moon. When the flames faded, nothing remained but twisted metal and drifting debris. The message was clear: humans didn't just battle, they destroyed. Across the Empire, the shock was total. Sareth Cole called an emergency war council. His glowing body dimmed as he spoke. "This species does not follow rules. They strike without warning and vanish without trace. We cannot understand them." Another counselor asked quietly, "Then what do we do?" Sareth Cole's voice echoed through the chamber. "We learn, or we fall." But deep in her command ship, Admiral Elena had already set her next target. She knew the Empire was vast and powerful, yet she also knew its weakness: pride. They couldn't imagine a war without rules. That was where humans excelled. They had been fighting against impossible odds since the beginning of their history, and every time, they survived. As the human fleet vanished into hyperspace again, a new chapter of galactic history began. The Empire had faced many enemies before, but never one like humanity, because humans didn't fight for glory. They fought for survival, and survival made them unstoppable. The destruction of the Luthor shipyard shook the Galactic Empire to its very core. Never in their long history had an enemy dared to strike so deep, so fast, and vanish without a trace. Billions of credits worth of ships, material, and lives were lost in one single calculated strike. The humans hadn't fought for territory, they had delivered a message. They were not just another species. They were a storm. The High Chancellor, Sareth Cole, stood before the Grand Council once again. His normally radiant body dimmed with unease. Around him the council chamber buzzed with angry voices, admirals demanding vengeance, senators calling for restraint, and scholars trying to understand the strange new enemy. They do not fight by our laws, Sareth Cole said, his voice calm but firm. They do not value what we value. If we are to face them, we must first understand them. Admiral Veltra, commander of the Eastern Fleet, rose from her seat. Her scaled skin shimmered in the chamber light. We do not need to understand barbarians, Chancellor. We must crush them. A fleet of 1,000 ships should erase their presence before they can spread further. But an old voice spoke from the shadows. It belonged to Archivist Thalen, keeper of the Empire's history. Perhaps that is what they expect. The humans seem to know how we think. Every move they make is designed to provoke us. Sareth Cole nodded slowly. Then let us not give them what they expect. Far from the Empire's core, Admiral Elena Morrow watched from her ship's observation deck as their latest victory reports streamed in. The crew celebrated quietly. There were no cheers, no loud songs. Humans didn't celebrate destruction. They only marked it as another step to survive. Her first officer, Commander Reyes, joined her. Empire forces are regrouping. Scouts report heavy movement near the outer systems. Elena folded her arms. They'll come with everything they have. But that's what we want. We need to see how far they're willing to go. Reyes looked uneasy. You think they'll send their whole fleet? I think, she said softly, they'll underestimate us again. On the Empire's capital world, a secret council gathered beneath the marble towers of the Imperial Intelligence Directorate. They reviewed every piece of data collected from the destroyed shipyards and battlefields. The humans left little behind, but fragments of their technology were recovered from wreckage. Black metal plating, melted drones, and strange computer cores. Dr. Serrana, a scientist with bright golden eyes, studied one of the cores. This is beyond anything we've seen. The way their machines think, it's not elegant like ours. It's messy, adaptive, almost alive. They build technology that learns from chaos. Her assistant tilted his head. Like evolution, Serrana nodded. Exactly. It's as if they don't plan every detail. They build, test, fail, rebuild faster than we can analyze. She paused, her expression unreadable. If this is how they design machines, I fear to imagine how they design wars. Meanwhile, the humans continued their quiet expansion. Every destroyed Imperial outpost became a resource field. Human ships dismantled wreckage, salvaged weapons, and built new defenses. Their colonies grew stronger, more united. Earth's nations, once divided, now stood together against a common enemy. For the first time in history, humanity spoke with one voice. On New Terra, President Arundas addressed the assembly once again. His voice carried through every ship and colony. They call us destroyers. Perhaps we are. But remember this, destruction is not our goal. We fight because we must. The Empire will not understand peace until they know what we are capable of. As he spoke, images of human soldiers flashed across the broadcast. Men and women in simple armor, not the shining kind used by the Empire. Their suits were worn, practical, built for movement and endurance. Each soldier's eyes carried the same determination, the same fire that had kept humanity alive through centuries of hardship. Back in the Empire, Sareth Cole decided to send envoys, a diplomatic fleet unarmed carrying a message of peace and inquiry. The council disagreed, calling it dangerous, but Sareth Cole was wise. If we do not try to speak, we will never understand the storm we face. The envoy fleet approached human space carefully. The ships broadcasted friendly signals. We come in peace. We request dialogue. At first there was silence. Then a single human ship appeared on the sensors. It was not a warship, but a small transport. The humans had come to talk. On board was Captain Aidan Ross, a calm and thoughtful officer chosen for his diplomacy. He greeted the Empire envoys through a neutral channel. On behalf of humanity, we accept your meeting, he said, but we do not bow. We speak as equals. The alien envoy, Ambassador Thorol, nodded with a slow, formal gesture. You have caused much destruction, Captain. The Empire wishes to know why. Captain Ross looked directly into the screen. Because your Empire attacked us first. You came into our system. You fired first. We only did what we had to do. Thorell hesitated. But you destroy everything you touch. There is no need for such violence. Ross leaned forward slightly. You call it violence. We call it survival. We've learned that mercy without understanding is weakness. When you fight us, you must know we don't fight to win battles. We fight so we never have to fight again. There was a long silence before Thorell whispered, Your kind is dangerous, Ross replied quietly. Only to those who threaten us. The meeting ended peacefully, but no agreements were made. The Empire had learned something that frightened them more than any weapon. The humans believed in what they did. They didn't fight for conquest. They fought for existence. That kind of conviction couldn't be reasoned with or broken easily. Back on Luther Prime, Sareth Cole studied the envoy report. They are not monsters, he said softly. They are reflections of what we once were. Admiral Veltra disagreed. They are unstable. They must be crushed before they spread, Sareth Cole sighed. Perhaps, but crushing them may only make them stronger. At the same time, Admiral Elena's fleet was preparing for the Empire's counterattack. Her analysts had intercepted new signals, massive fleet formations heading toward the Zephyr Corridor, a narrow route that connected human space to the Empire's outer sectors. It was a perfect battleground. Commander Reyes frowned as he studied the tactical map. They're coming with hundreds of ships. We can't match them. Elena smiled slightly. We don't have to match them. We just have to outthink them. Her strategy was simple but daring. She ordered the fleet to split into small units, each hiding in asteroid belts and nebulae. Instead of one large battle, they would create a series of traps. When the Empire entered the corridor, every human ship would strike, vanish, and strike again. When the day came, the stars lit up with explosions. The Empire's armada advanced proudly, banners glowing across their hulls. But soon confusion spread. Their sensors went blind. Communications failed. Ships exploded from invisible attacks. It wasn't war, it was chaos. From her command ship, Admiral Elena watched silently. They still think in lines and ranks, she said. They still think we play by their rules. Within hours, the mighty Imperial Armada was broken. Not all were destroyed, but enough to send a clear message. The humans could not be cornered. They could not be predicted. In the aftermath, the few surviving Imperial captains reported strange things. Ghost signals, false sensor readings, and enemy ships that vanished like shadows. The Empire began calling them the Ghost Fleet. When Sareth Cole received the final report, he stood in silence for a long time. Then he spoke softly to his council. They have shown us our weakness. We rule by fear, but they are not afraid. We fight for pride, but they fight for survival. Perhaps we face not an enemy, but our own reflection, sharpened by hardship. He turned to his generals. The humans are not to be underestimated again. The next time we face them with respect. But across human space, Elena was already planning something even greater. She knew the Empire would regroup. She knew they would not stop. So she decided humanity would go deeper, beyond defense, beyond survival. She looked out into the endless stars and said quietly, if they want to understand what humans are capable of, we'll show them. And thus the next phase of the war began, not just for control of space, but for the truth of what it meant to be human. The Empire had never known fear before the arrival of humans. For thousands of years they ruled the stars with order and logic. But now their grand fleets were scattered, their shipyards destroyed, and their pride wounded. Yet the Empire was not weak. It had survived worse disasters and had always learned. And now they would learn again, this time from the humans. In the capital world of Luther Prime, the High Council gathered in the Hall of Resonance. The floating crystal panels above the chamber reflected the sorrow and tension in every face. The High Chancellor Sareth Cole stood tall but weary. The humans fight in ways we never imagined, he said. We have lost fleets, but we have gained understanding. They are not gods. They are clever, adaptable, and desperate. But so were we once. Admiral Veltra, known for her boldness, leaned forward. If we adapt as they do, we can stop them. They rely on chaos. We must learn to fight in chaos, Sareth Cole nodded slowly. Then we shall change. Let us rebuild our fleets, not as monuments of pride, but as tools of survival. Across the Empire, factories roared to life. Shipbuilders worked without rest, designing new warships, smaller, faster, and smarter. Drones with adaptive intelligence were launched by the thousands. The Empire's engineers studied human wreckage and learned the secrets of flexible design. The change was slow but steady. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was learning humility. Meanwhile, far from the Empire's heart, Admiral Elena Morrow sat in her command chair aboard the HSS Vanguard. Around her, the control room glowed dimly with the soft blue lights of the main screen. Her eyes studied new reports. "The Empire is reorganizing," Commander Reyes said. "They're not sending large fleets anymore. They've started deploying multiple small groups. It's like they've been watching us." Elena smiled slightly. "Good. That means they're learning. And when they learn, we learn faster." For humans, war had always been the best teacher. Every loss, every broken ship, every signal delay, they used it to improve. Humanity's engineers worked day and night, creating new stealth systems, improved AI navigators, and faster jump drives. The humans had become what the Empire feared most, a race that never stopped adapting. Weeks later, the human scouts reported strange readings. Empire fleets were moving differently, scattering into patterns that confused sensors. The traps that once worked perfectly now caught nothing but empty space. During one mission near the Rathan Belt, a human strike group fell into an ambush. 4 small ships appeared out of nowhere, using cloaked fields similar to human technology. Missiles rained down before the humans even had time to react. Commander Reyes watched in shock as 2 ships were lost instantly. "How did they find us?" Elena's voice stayed calm. "Because they're learning from us." She gave the order to retreat, but her mind was already working. This was the first time humans had been truly surprised. The Empire had finally caught up. Back on Luther Prime, Sareth Cole watched the new battle reports with careful satisfaction. "Our new strategies work," he said. "We no longer fight as lords, but as survivors. The humans will now see what happens when the Empire stops underestimating them." But not everyone in the Empire agreed. Archivist Thalen, the old historian, warned, "They will only grow stronger. Conflict is their home. You may defeat them in a battle, but never in spirit." Sareth Cole looked at him thoughtfully. "Then we must aim for peace, not victory. But first we must survive long enough to reach it." While the Empire changed, humanity prepared for its next step, a counterstrike deeper into Imperial territory. Admiral Elena's new plan was risky, even by human standards. She called it Operation Glass Horizon. The goal was not to destroy the Empire, but to show them what humanity could truly do if pushed too far. The target, Virel Forge, one of the Empire's largest energy worlds that powered half its fleet. Elena stood before her officers, her voice calm but sharp. "We will strike hard and fast. They think we want conquest, but we only want security. The faster they understand that we can end their war machines, the faster we'll find peace." Her officers nodded. They all knew what was at stake. The operation began under a cover of deep space shadows. The human fleet moved through uncharted regions, avoiding known trade routes. Every engine was silent, every communication coded. When they reached the Virel system, they found it heavily defended. Dozens of cruisers, energy satellites, and planetary shields. Commander Reyes stared at the tactical map. "There's no way through that." "We'd need a miracle." Elena smiled faintly. "No miracles. Just human engineering." Her ships began releasing hundreds of decoy drones, each programmed with a false energy signature. The Empire's defense systems went wild, tracking dozens of fake fleets at once. Amid the confusion, a small group of human ships slipped through the shield gaps. In less than an hour, they reached the surface of Virel Forge's main moon and planted charges deep within the energy conduits. When they detonated, the shockwave was bright enough to be seen from space. Half the system went dark. When the news reached the Empire's capital, silence filled the council chamber. Admiral Veltra slammed her fist on the table. "They've struck again!" "They destroyed Virel Forge, one of our oldest strongholds." Sareth Cole's glowing eyes dimmed. "They could have destroyed the planet itself. But they didn't. They're sending us a message again. We have the power to destroy, but we choose not to." Archivist Thalen whispered. "They are giving us a choice, peace or ruin." But the younger admirals were not ready to hear it. Many demanded full retaliation. The Empire prepared for another counterattack, building massive fleets once more. As all this happened, Admiral Elena received a secret transmission from an unknown source. The message came in an ancient Imperial code, decrypted by her AI. It said simply, Chancellor Sareth Cole wishes to meet. Alone. The bridge went silent. Commander Reyes frowned. It could be a trap, Elena nodded. Or it could be the only chance to stop this war. She thought for a long moment, then gave her answer. Prepare a small ship. I'll go myself. The Vanguard changed course toward neutral space to a forgotten station floating between the Empire and human territory. When Elena arrived, a single Imperial shuttle waited there. From it emerged Sareth Cole, tall, glowing faintly, his crystalline skin reflecting the starlight. For a moment, neither spoke. Two leaders, two enemies, stood face to face for the first time. Sareth Cole's voice was calm. Your kind fights as though you wish to end the stars themselves. Elena met his gaze. We fight because we remember what it's like to have nothing. You rule with fear. We survive with unity. Sareth Cole sighed softly. Perhaps both of us are wrong. Perhaps survival without peace is another form of defeat. Elena looked at him quietly. Then stop fighting us. Let your people live, and we'll stop striking. The Chancellor nodded slowly. I will try. But the Empire is proud. They will not surrender easily. Neither will we, Elena replied. They parted without handshake or promise, but something in the galaxy shifted that day. The seeds of understanding had been planted, yet both sides knew peace would not come easily. The Empire's admirals would never accept humiliation, and humanity could not forget the countless lives lost. As the Vanguard returned home, Elena looked out at the stars once more. War changes everyone, she said quietly to Reyes. But maybe, just maybe, it can teach us something too. Reyes nodded. Do you think they'll ever stop fighting? Elena's voice was steady. Only when they realize we never wanted to rule them. We just wanted to be left alone. Far away on Luther Prime, Sareth Cole watched the stars from his chamber. He whispered to himself, humans. You remind us what we used to be. Brave, wild, unstoppable. The galaxy was silent, but tension hung in the air. Both sides were rebuilding again, stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. And deep within the human fleet, plans for Operation Dawnstrike began to form. A mission that would change the future of both civilizations forever.